All right, so we're on live. So first off, sorry guys that we're a little bit behind schedule. Yeah, Hangout is kind of crazy. So once you're doing these Hangouts on your own, or if you have, then you kind of understand. But I'm so excited. I know we had the call yesterday set up, and a little miscommunication, and so we're doing it a day later, but still just as freaking awesome because I'm super stoked. Today we have my friend and fellow leader from, if you know my success partner, Stephanie Davies. Well, she's in the Alive and Well downline of that hierarchy or whatever you want to say, Julie Campbell. And she is so freaking awesome. We met at the leadership retreat for Alive and Well up in Oregon. I guess, gosh, it was like a year and a half ago. And we just really connected. She's super down to earth. And what I like is that I feel like we're very different, but we still have this connection about just really like bleeding for our teams. I think that almost to a fault, where I think we had a couple conversations at that retreat, just feeling like, gosh, how can I be better for my team? I feel like maybe I'm struggling in this area. And it was just so cool. You know, wine, those retreats are just, dude, you gotta go to the retreat, qualify for that stuff, because that's where the magic happens. But Julie's awesome. She's a mama to two little rugrats, and she's able to balance it and still live this awesome life, like being a wife and all this stuff. She was just saying to me, she's on her ranch and barely gets service out there. And like, I mean, that's something that, oh my gosh, that's dreamy to me. And I know we all have different ideas of what we want out of this coaching business, but being able to have that kind of freedom and just be out in the like wide open country, having your family and still growing a business and not having to be like, oh my gosh, I still have to commute into town 30 minutes or 40 minutes or whatever. I just think it's rad and super inspiring. And I asked her to, well, we're switching calls. She was awesome enough to reach out to me and ask me to host one of her team calls. And so I was like, well, okay, but you please, you have to talk to my girls because we need a piece of you. So I'm so excited that Julie's here and gave us some of her time. And yeah, well, I guess like accolades wise, she's a 2-star diamond coach, and yeah, she's just a total rock star. I'm not good at this whole, she had this amazing introduction for me, and I was just telling her I'm not super good at the introductions, but I can't do it justice because she's so awesome. So I'm just going to hand it over to her, and she's going to give you guys some feel good, some tips about leadership and just what she's done in this time to grow an awesome business and a tribe of people that really inspire or are inspired to move it along and do something cool with this. So Julie, go for it, girl.
You're better at this than me, Brittany. I remember at that leadership, you were saying something like, you know, like I'm not really comfortable talking in front of people. And every time you spoke, everybody just stopped what they were doing and listening. So you're a lot better than you think. So don't discredit yourself. But thank you. I am super excited to be here. I'm super, super excited that you asked me. And can I also say at the same time, beyond nervous, I want a puke bucket like right next to me. And I feel so bad for the miscommunication yesterday or whatever happened, because I feel like now I have even this pressure put on myself to deliver. And what's funny is like we didn't really communicate on a topic. You just kind of said go for it and bring something that kind of motivates your girls. And so what you just talked about you know, what we're all different, and we're all kind of doing this coach thing to fulfill purposes that we have and values that we have. And it's basically kind of where I went with what I mean, I literally like wrote it out, dude, like seriously. So it's where I took it, because I put these like ridiculous expectations on myself, and I know I'm not the only one, and maybe it's more of like a female thing, but does anybody else do that? You know, like you put these irrational standards when you see someone else doing something and you know you're capable, and so you feel like you should already be able to do that, or it should be easy to do that. And I was talking to my friend the other day about that, and she said, don't do what you're capable of doing. Do what you're passionate about doing. Do what you're good at. And So I'm trying to take that mind frame while talking to you guys and just go for it. So anyway, for those of you guys who don't know me, I am okay. How old am I? Sorry, I'm 31. 31 years old, born and raised in Oregon. I have two daughters. Olivia is 6 and Mulaney is 3. And married for 7 years now. No, it will be 7 years. And we've been together almost 10 years. And he's my best friend, which is totally cliche to say, but in reality, like, we hate each other, we love each other. We have a lot of fun together. He's my best friend. I grew up in Oregon, like I said, but I lived in Washington for a short period of time and just moved back to Oregon a year ago. I'm taking 19 credits at Oregon State University right now because I did this really crazy thing and I went back to school because I originally went to school out of high school to earn a business degree, and I dropped out because it wasn't for me, which is kind of hard to say. A lot of people don't like admitting that. It's just something we need to get over. There's a lot of people out there that at 18 don't know what they want to do with their life. It's okay. It's something I've had to come over. But I dropped out, and it's a fortunate thing because I spent a lot of my life in administrative work and working for engineering firms and stuff. But now I went back to school to earn a degree in human development and family science. And I did that so that I could advocate for kids because it's something I'm passionate about. And had I graduated when I was 22 or whatever, I think I would be living a different lifestyle. So it was a blessing. But I'm taking 19 credits right now because it is the last term and I refuse to go one more time in the fall. And what else? I'm on the board of a medical clinic here, which is not fancy. Don't think it's fancy because I literally live in a town of 140 people and the clinic serves the entire county, which is like 1,500 people. Like, to give you a perspective, their goal is to have 100 patients in 1 year. So very small medical clinic, but I am on the board. It's really interesting because I really feel like I want to make the community a better place for, we're raising kids here. So, and I'm so curious to know what the heck they're doing with the medical clinic. So I don't qualify for anything. They were just short people. So it's not fancy, but it's something that I'm doing. And about a year ago, we made a huge decision, and my husband and I bought this ranch. And before that, it feels really icky to say this. Apparently, it's something I need to work on. But my husband was making 4 figures at Caltech as a cost analyst. And if you watch the news, you've probably heard of the LIGO project, which is a project that's funded by the government where they discovered black holes. Well, anyway, my husband was the cost analyst for that project in Washington. And he gave it up so that we could no longer live a life that didn't reflect who we were, what our morals were, where our value lied. And by giving it up, we gave up, medical benefits. We gave up 401ks and retirement plans and all that stuff, and basically security, if you want to bundle it all into one thing. And we bought 160 acres in Eastern Oregon, and it's on the river, so that my husband could fulfill this passion he had in sustainable land management. So he's never done it before, you guys. This is a guy in a corporate job that decided he's going to go learn about soil and grass and how to raise grass-fed beef and chickens. Now, apparently, that's new too. My life is kind of a joke sometimes. I say that really often. It's just crazy. Like, there might be a cow that walks in front of me right now. I'm not even kidding you. But anyway, that's what we're doing. Raising our girls with a really slow-paced lifestyle. And I think it's super neat that as a coach, I'm able to do all of these things and still pay the mortgage by doing something that I'm super passionate about that literally has to fit in the nooks and crannies of life right now. Like, if it didn't, I would have to quit. And about a year ago, I almost quit because we were going through a huge life transition. And when you do that, honestly, if you ever want to test a marriage, move into a camp trailer for 7 months while your house is being finished with children, by the way. But it tests you. And I felt like this was something that I needed to give up because I felt like I was going to lose something else that was more important to me. So I think it's really neat that I stepped back and I realized that I really don't have to pursue anything I don't want to unless it fits with where my priorities are. And that's one of the many things I love about this whole gig as a coach, you know, and still be able to pay the mortgage, which it's not a lot, but it's huge to me. It's one thing that I get to take off my husband's shoulders, you know? So, of all the many reasons, I think you guys could relate to that because who doesn't love a flexible job, right? Like, everyone can appreciate that. It's got to be on the list somewhere. But it's not really about all of the reasons that you know, all of the great opportunities and the value that coaching offers that I want to talk to you guys about, because you know that. I mean, otherwise you wouldn't be a coach, right? So, but I wanted to share the main reason why I'm here as a coach. And Steph Davies the other day, she I think it was a live chat, but she did this analogy where she used Beachbody coaching as, she said it used it as an analogy as a vehicle to do something in your life that maybe you're afraid to do or that you really want to do and you just don't feel like you could do it because you've got a full-time job and you're a mom or you're, you know, career driven or whatever, that you can use Beachbody as this vehicle. And for me, the vehicle that I'm using it for is to reach out and help people that need to learn or need to, I don't know, open their eyes that life, this idea that life is meant joy and love and passion and fun, for crying out loud, and for good health, you know, all of the things that their soul craves, you know, all of the quote unquote more that we sometimes feel to ourselves that we are looking for, non-existent, if that makes sense. Like, all of that more stuff is not just an idea, it is out there. And what's interesting is when it comes to life, it's not fair or it's not unfair either. And it just is. And that might be a little bit deflating to you guys to hear that, but I promise you, I'll try to show you how you can use it to empower you, because it is, life is, it just is. We never deserve anything unless we work for it. We're born into these circumstances to which sometimes we don't deserve. It just is what it is. For example, I was born into a family where it was full of love. I feel like everything my parents did was because they ultimately loved me and they thought they were protecting me or doing the right thing and that they didn't know any better. But the truth is as I grew up and I became an adult, I really, really, really did not agree with my parents' parenting style. To each their own, we're all different. We all get to choose how we go forward with every opportunity that is bestowed upon us. But for me, I really didn't agree with my parents at all. To put mildly, or well, to put it shortly, I guess, I felt like an object, not like a person. I felt like I didn't have dignity to consider because, you know, my family grew up in the era of you do what I say because I told you so. You're a kid, therefore you don't know any better. You don't have value. So your input does not matter until you're an adult. But the way that left me feeling as an adult was that I didn't believe in anything. I didn't believe in, I was told what to believe when it came to religion, when it came to sexuality, when it came to politics. And if I didn't agree with my parents, I was simply wrong and undeserved. I was, not, they would say, people who didn't agree with them, they'd call them idiots or whatever. And in all honesty, I think that's ignorance on their part to think that they're the only people that could be right. But it left me feeling like I didn't deserve to be loved unless I was like them and unless I agreed with them. And so basically feeling like you're an object and like you don't have dignity can do a lot to you when you become an adult. It can leave you feeling really lost and like you need to find your identity. And it happens even more so when you become a mom. And if you're not a mom or a parent, the best way that I can relate this is like you just don't know who you are. And let's say you're driving in your car and you're trying to find a radio station that you like, and eventually you just turn it off because nothing is appealing to you. Nothing drives you. Nothing lights a fire inside you because you're so disconnected. You just don't even know who that person is anymore. It's like a shell. But as I began to resent my parents, I also began to feel lost and depressed. And I became a mother and I began to feel really guilty because all of those instincts that you gain as a child become part of you as an adult. I was, instinctively beginning to parent my daughter the way they did, and I hated myself for it. And I knew that I couldn't be that way, but I didn't know how to be any different way. And so I did a lot of reading. And it's a really hard thing to articulate to someone who hasn't gone through that. Like my husband, his parents were very different than my own. And it's also something, if you admit it, my parents would have said something like, well, you turned out fine, so I'm not sorry. So working through it with them was not going to happen. My husband didn't understand, but I knew I had to do something because being depressed and as a new mom and a new wife, like that's just not something I thought I was supposed to be. By the way, I just got to throw this out there, like you're just based on what you see in society, you're not supposed to be anything. Like you're supposed to be you. Never feel bad if you need to go see a therapist to work through your stuff. Like, and never feel bad to admit how you feel because that's crap. Sorry. It's human instinct to want to talk through our shit. So do it and talk about it and admit that, because honestly, I feel like it's helpful to see society. It's, not so judgmental of people who are seeking help for themselves. That's bullshit. And it's something that I, wish would change. But because I felt this way, I did go to a therapist and I went to a counselor and I went to a psychiatrist, and I met this psychiatrist, which mainly was because my insurance wouldn't pay for it if I didn't see a shrink. So I go and I see him, and he literally says two things to me. He's the most non-bullshit type of person, so black and white. He says, "Why are you so obsessed with how you were raised? You can't change it. Control your past. Stop trying to control your parents." And he said, the other thing he said is, "So what? What's stopping you from going forward and finding yourself?" And I honestly don't really remember a whole lot of what else he said, but that was it for me. That was a switch. I just made that decision that day, as a new mom and a new wife, that my past and the way I was raised and whatever my circumstances were not going to define my future at all. Gosh, that day was December 7th, 2011. And I went home and I threw away everything in our cupboards that was like pre-packaged, didn't have an expiration date, was in the freezer. All of it had food. And I went to the grocery store, not having a clue what to buy. And I picked up a women's health magazine, and I just found some stuff in there that looked healthy, brought it home, and then I tore out a workout from that, and I did it every day for like 2 months. And in that 2 months, feeling like, first of all, the first jog I did, I remember just having to stop and breathe and bawl on the sidewalk. And we're talking like one lap, you guys. And I thought I was going to puke, but I also remember feeling like, just because it's hard, I mean, I can't do it. Just keep going. It's one block, and you start to, feel the feel goods. And so I was like, having some clarity, and I just knew that this was something that I wanted to keep doing, basically. And so, I got home, and after a few weeks, like anything else, you kind of wait for a habit to kick in. Like bad habits form and they're hard to break, but so do good habits. And for me, this is something that I really wanted to form. And so I remember going from counting down the seconds until my husband got home from his 12 hours a day of being gone, his career, feeling isolated and alone, having no friends and family because we were new to the area and everyone in my neighborhood was retired. And for 9 months, all they wanted to do was give me parenting advice and feel my belly. And you know how that goes. It's just like, I think I closed the door on one of them at one point, while she was still talking, but I had no one, and I didn't know who I was either. And I was supposed to be enjoying my time as a mom and a wife, and I wasn't.
Julie, can you hear me? I think you cut out.
Hated my such a different level that I was starting to gain confidence in myself and think more rationally.
Oh, you're good.
Are you gonna say?
You're good.
Okay.
You cut out for a second. You're good.
Oh, sorry. But these new habits that I was forming was really starting to change me emotionally and psychologically. And um, I went and got that tattooed on my arm so that I never forgot that day, and that I always focused on what that day brought to me and how I felt. And it's ridiculous, is like we just expect that once we finally feel good or figure it out that we're done. But the truth is like this is just an ongoing thing. Several different levels of love, and one of the their chemical reactions or whatever to people or belly laughing or whatever, and they go over they go away over time. So you have to keep working on a marriage to redevelop that love, that connection. And the same thing goes for yourself. Like you change, you just have to expect that. So but the fact that I was finally having this clarity made me appreciate life so much more and all the roles that I play. And I remember telling myself, I am not going to be the only person who finds this out for themselves and makes a change. And not only am I going to not just keep this to myself, I need to be a really good influence, show my daughter that you can wish and want all you want and you can hope for the best, but unless you actually like do something to try and make a difference, that's just kind of like you got to eat your own words. You got to put your convictions into motion and go with a direction and a purpose in your life. And that's the person that I want to talk to as a coach. That person who feels like they're not good enough, and to enjoy life, to find a better version of themselves, to look at life like it can add value, and like you can bring value to the table also, because it's like the thing that pulls my heartstrings the most is hearing somebody say that they don't have anybody, or they don't think they're anybody. because no matter what, wherever your circumstances have brought you, wherever you come from, whatever is in your past, it does not define you. It's an experience in life that has taught you something, which means you can then make the world a better place by sharing that experience and that lesson and how you overcame it or how you didn't, whatever you're going through, you know? And so for me as a coach, that was the opportunity that I saw, was a platform that gave me tools, motivation and community and support to talk to more people and talk to that person that needs picked up off the ground, to feel like no matter what, they have value and I believe in them and I will never judge them, because I understand that no two people walk the same path. We will never feel the same way. We'll never look at life the same way. So I'm not in a position to judge anyone. But I can sure as shit encourage people, tell them that I have felt like, you know, the lowest of the lows before in my life and not made perfect decisions. And even if I get judged for it, honestly, that's on the person judging me and that's something that they need to work out, not me. And so I've basically used this Beachbody coaching opportunity as a vehicle to kind of put myself out there. And I don't have like, you know, this super huge transformation story. I feel like I have come a really long way and learned a lot about myself and human nature in the last couple of years, that it will help someone, and that's enough for me. So that's what my purpose is with this, and that's my why. But I feel like even though that's what fuels me, maybe it's not something that you can relate to. Maybe it's not why you signed up as a coach. But what's amazing about this opportunity is that it's really meant for anybody. It can fulfill so many purposes. If you have a creative outlet that you need to, do something with, if you need to make additional income, if you want to travel the world, if you're looking for community or influence and accountability, I mean, Beachbody is not just about Shakeology and rank advancements and workout programs. It's about so much more. And whatever your purpose is, you just need to believe that it's important. You need to go forward with like conviction in it and with intent on what you're going to do with that passion. And you have to believe me, it will make a difference in the world, because nobody is going to do it the way you would do it. Whatever your purpose is, you're not the only one, but you might be the only one that's willing to talk about it. You might be only willing to share the real shit that you're going through, that one person needs to hear and relate to, just so that they can get up off the floor and make a change that they know scared or do. Whatever your passion is with this whole Beachbody coaching thing, the fact that you're doing it your way, the way you are, is going to make you're overqualified to be successful at this just by doing this as you. And what happens when you start to fulfill your purpose is you happier. You enjoy life more. And that resonates. It's like a ripple in the water. It doesn't just stop with you. It goes out there into the world, and you might not see it right away, and you might not see it through your measurable intentions, like your power hour and your vital behaviors and stuff like that. But when you're happier, that goes out into the universe, and you get happier by, fulfilling that passion and that fire inside of you. So do it, and do it in a really big you kind of way. And don't let like comparison quiet you. You know what I mean? So like, sometimes it feels selfish to do things that are just for you, that are that only you are convicted by, that's your passion. And honestly, I was hung up on this whole thing of like self-guilt of ever doing anything for myself. And I think moms feel that way because we're selfless by nature. But it's when you start to take care of yourself and when you start to do things that you're passionate about, your whole world changes, because when you're happier, it's just this ripple effect. And so my advice to you guys is that whatever your passion is, you need to do it in a really, you need to do it your way, and you need to do it in a really big way. And I said earlier that life is not fair, and it's not unfair. And that's because no matter what your circumstances are, you get to make life what it is, whatever you want. So whatever you're craving from this opportunity, whatever you pictured your life to be like, whoever you feel like you are inside, I would just strongly encourage you to just do the work, dig in, get to know that person, embrace that person, and literally like create some kind of flag where you can wave that shit around, like, here I am, and I'm important, and I bring value to the table, because you do. And that's, yeah. So that's basically what I wanted to share with you guys. I know Brittany said something about me sharing how I do the whole leadership thing. And for me, it's really simple. I feel I'm always consistently staying true to what my passion is, which is reaching out towards that person who's reaching back for help. I feel like success in terms of income, rank advancements, all that stuff will kind of naturally happen. And I know that I'm staying true to why I'm here. And that certainly has shown to be really true for me in the last 2 years, because I almost quit a year ago. I mean, I literally went inactive, canceled all my shit, and I told my upline that I was going to give myself 30 days to pull the plug. And I just kept coming back to it, and I kept having people reach out to me with things like, I miss hearing from you. And so anyway, I didn't quit, but I told myself I needed to stay true to helping the person that needs my help, no matter what. And that does mean that I need to connect, like reach out and send messages to as many people as I can, without the fear that they're going to think I'm trying to sell anything, because that's also on them. They can judge me all they want, or they can get to know me and find out where my genuineness is really coming from. That's on them. So don't put that on yourself to do what you're trying to do with this business. If you want all the success, and I strongly encourage going for all the success, like take all that you can get. And it's not selfish. It's not greedy. It's doing something that you're passionate about. And if you're following what you're passionate about, you should live a life that reflects that, So, is that good? Is that okay?
So good. Thank you so much, Julie. No, I'm going to do a mini recap and then some questions, because I took a ton of notes on the back of my envelope. So yeah, I have like so many Julie quotes, and so much I just learned about you that I had no idea about, and girl crushing super hard on this Woman Crush Wednesday. I think I have to call you out. But a couple of my quotes, don't do what you're capable of doing, do what you're passionate about doing. And I think that that's so crucial, but also so cool, because we're own bosses. And sometimes I think we forget that, and we hear like, or see other people, other leaders doing things and feeling like we have to do things that don't honor us. And we get stuck. I know I've been there. And then it robs you of the joy of what comes with coaching. And I love that. And then let's see. Yeah, it just is what it is. We don't deserve anything. So I know another thing like that comes up when I thought of that, I was like, gosh, there's so many coaches that, in my 3 years of coaching, you sign someone up and you're like, you expect them to do great things, or you invest like hours and hours in this new coach or prospect or challenger, and then they quit or whatever. And that's the thing of like, I think coaching does a really great job of giving freely and not expecting anything in return, because no one owes you shit. At the end of the day, if you have to really pour yourself into everyone, with the intentions of like, I want to make this person's life better. If it's not for them, I know I did my best. I don't deserve anything. I love that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, totally. I've been reading a lot about Gandhi, and he would always kind of approach life with this idea of like, how can I make life better?
yeah,
I don't deserve anything, but how can I make life better?
yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah.
And not be resentful or angry or yeah, think you're owed anything. I love that. What's stopping you from going forward and finding yourself? Like, what's stopping us? Like, is it fear? Whatever. I love that. Sorry, I'm just gonna keep going through all this quotes.
That's
Uh,
cool.
if someone's judging me, that's on that person judging me to work that out with themselves. I know I deal a lot with being a people pleaser and being like, gosh, I hope they don't think that like I intended this, or maybe I swore too much in this video and I'm thinking about the mom from junior high school that like whatever, like I go in my head and it's like, who cares? I know I'm a good person, you know? And I think a lot of new coaches especially deal with that. So I loved that. A couple
Yeah.
questions I wanted to ask you. So,
Yes.
well, one last thing I wanted to compliment you on because I had no idea about your 19 credits this quarter or semester or whatever, and how involved you all are with your community, all the stuff that you guys are doing to live like authentically for yourselves, and I think that's so rad. So yeah, so into you right now.
Thank you.
But okay, so how do you balance it all and fit it all into like right now with your busy schedule? How do you balance it all and fit it into, like you said, the nooks and crannies of your life? Like, you know, you're obviously busy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, so I kind of like a year ago when I almost quit, I wasn't balancing it very well at all. There was a lot of pressure on my husband to kind of make this ranch a success, or we weren't going to be able to live this lifestyle basically. So he was never in a very good place because he put a lot of pressure on himself, and I was in a new place with no support, living in a camper, and things were just tense. And I felt like I needed to give up something that was needing my attention so that I could spread my attention throughout, which is just not really true. Like, the way I look at it is, if you're like, I wrote this list a few years ago about things that make me happy, anything that brought a smile to my face. And I highlighted things that specifically like made me smile from within. And I sat on this list, and every time I would try to think about these things again, if they didn't make me smile again, they'd get crossed off my list. And my list grew from like 1,000 things to like 5 things. And these 5 things in life are things that I'm not going to compromise for. My family, taking time to improve who I am and focusing on what I want and trying to like get that centered. And so anyway, like I had this list, and so I had a really clear vision of what I wanted to do with my time. And for me, like, that means if I want to do these things and not give them up, that means I have to get up before my kids do, because when my kids get up, they're pretty demanding. And also I have mom guilt. So if I'm not giving them my attention, I feel like crap. And so that's where resentment starts to take its toll. And so I figured, well, I'm going to need to get up earlier and do some stuff. And what I do when I get up earlier is really I do my personal development now, which I literally, this is day 3 of like my new commitment. I don't even know the last time I read a book, but it's my quiet time mainly, so that I can kind of focus on how I want the day to go. And then I drink my coffee in peace and quiet, and I try to get messages answered and all that stuff. And then my kids know, Steph Davies told me this when I first started, when I was having a hard time finding balance. She was like, whatever you're doing, whatever's in front of you, you do that 100%. And then you won't feel guilty about it, because you know you added value there. And then when you step back away from it to add value somewhere else, you're not left feeling like you didn't do a good enough job. So anytime whatever is in front of me, I make sure that it's fun for my girls. They're going to make a memory of whatever that random thing is that day. and then they're not going to resent me for going and doing some work or homework. And also the other, you know, that's kind of where I keep my mindset whenever I'm doing something, instead of feeling like, I feel like stress is not really a real thing. It's more like a mind frame. You know, if you don't appreciate what you're doing and you're stressed out about it, change what you're doing, or find, you know, look at the reason why you're doing it. And if you don't feel the value, then don't do it. Like, who cares if someone judges you for no longer going to the PTA meeting? Screw the PTA meetings if you're not getting the stuff done that you want to do. So for me, like, it's a mind frame thing, and I just focus on really making sure that that there's value in whatever I do. And I might only get to do some of the stuff that I want to do for a shorter amount of time, but I'm going to do a really damn good job during that time. But and the other thing is that I do is I don't do this, but I almost feel bad talking about this, but my husband supports me in such a way that if I was like, you know, let's go jump off a cliff and end it all right now, he'd probably do. He supports me. Like, I'm like the person that's over here, like, here's the Kool-Aid, honey. And he's like, thanks, babe. You know, like, he's an amazing support system. And so I used to hold everything in, and it was all on me. And now I feel what I'm feeling, and I talk about it a lot. And just through talking it out, just really kind of, it's like a clear path forward. And so with those couple of things that I've done, I really feel like I can juggle my time better, with more like intent. And let's be honest, Brett, like, I live in the middle of nowhere, so the grocery store is an hour. I can't go to Target, you know, like I really, really want to, but I can't. And, like, there's nobody here. And so, and no shopping. And anyway, it's pretty easy for me to be home and not be busy. Like the, what's the word? Like, fake busy. I don't know how to explain it. Like, I don't have options, you know, so it's, but
no distractions.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
I mean, there might be a cow or whatever.
But... Yeah, that can be entertaining. I like that. So it's like getting in line with what your key priorities are and really chiseling that list down and figuring out, okay, because I think that's like I spoke about on your team call. I think I struggled with that clarity of being like, why am I still in coaching and what are my priorities, you know? And I think that's it, figuring out what your priorities are and getting really clear on the path that you're on. And, you know, if your time is sacred, no matter how busy, we're all busy. So really figuring out what your priorities are and working on it when you can. I like that. Another question I have. So how do you keep your blinders on in what seems like a sea of Beachbody coaches?
Oh, that's so hard. That's funny because, you know, I've noticed that I was interacting a lot with a lot of coaches in my social media. So that's all my newsfeed was other coaches. So I decided that for a couple of weeks in a row, I would message 100 or 150 people that weren't Beachbody coaches, just so that their stuff would show up more than coaches in my newsfeed, giving me, like, presenting an opportunity to interact with someone who's not already in the Beachbody world. And I had no, like, realization that it was all coaches, and now it's like all random people to me. And so I'm like, ooh, I should talk to them. And so that really helped create, like, a new market, really, for me, because here are all these people that I'm not even engaging with, because I've been engaging so much with coaches. And I was like, Nate, my husband, Nate, he said this the other day to me. He was like, talking about standards. I put standards on myself. I think a lot of us do that. And his example was like, well, look at Steph Davies. Okay, she's been a coach for how long? Not that much longer than me, in all reality. And look what she's built. and he said to me, like, Julie, you realize that Jeff Davies literally put probably 80 hours a week into this, and you don't have 80 hours. Like, I don't know where you would pull 80 hours a week out of. So why are you even comparing to begin with? So it's time to change your standards, and so, like, the most important thing that you can do, there's two things really. The two most important things you can do is not compare yourself, because no matter what, like, you see another coach doing, you have no idea what their circumstances have created in order for them to do that. Like, I mean, I look up to you, Brett. Like, you just went to freaking Mexico and pictures, and I was like, God, why can't I do that? Like, why haven't I done that? And then I have to literally step back from my own self-judgment and be like, you're being ridiculous. And I told my team the other night, like, it's okay to talk to yourself. Like, when you're feeling, I do it mostly in my head now, but like when I'm feeling anxious or stressed, I will literally calm myself off the ledge with things like, you're okay, and what's the worst thing that could happen? But I also do things like, don't compare, and just be happy for them and focus on what your goals are. And if you don't know what your goals are, you need to live, like, just like you need to live your life, you need to coach with an intent. Like, there needs to be intention. So if you are doing a power hour, why? Like, is it to keep up with, Joe Schmo coach, 5-star elite diamond coach over there? Or are you doing it to, fulfill that passion that you have? And the other most important thing that you can do is do it your own way. Like, please do it your own way. Like, there needs to be no copycatting of any coaches out there, because it's a disservice to the world. It's a disservice to anybody who is now missing an opportunity to relate to you, because instead they're not hearing the truth from you, and the truth from you is what they need to relate, to reach out and connect to you. And if they're hearing the same thing over and over and over again, then they're just going to be looking for their answers somewhere else. And you have value to, to offer them, to help them change their life. So, don't try to be like any other coach out there. Just really believe in being you, and that there's power in that. So I have to tell myself these things, though, like, all the time. Like, this, it's a human nature to, self-sabotage and not believe in ourselves. And the only way you can really overcome those things is to just keep practicing and keep, like, anytime you think negatively, just think, try to think something positively. Like, but yeah, that's kind of how I do it. I try to celebrate as much as I can, because trying to build a really positive community. But it's hard when all you see is like all these thousands of coaches doing all this stuff, and if it's not in line with who you are and what you want, then you, like, don't even, there's no reason to go there or pay attention and try to even begin to compare, because you're just going to find yourself really unhappy and resent the opportunity and quit.
Right.
So
true. Love that. So I have a couple more, but we're running a little long. So I'm just going to ask this final one. And this is my question after listening. Do you feel like coaching has helped? Because this is something that I really related to in what you said. When I found coaching, it was like, I saw what Chico was doing, and it was really inspiring in the stage of my life. Like how you said you were going through therapy and going through all this personal journey on your own when you found the coaching opportunity. And I was kind of, I think I had some therapy at that time, but it was more just like, yeah, this inward journey. And when I saw her being vulnerable, I was just like, wow, that's crazy. I'm already like kind of once in a while posting inspirational stuff. Like, I feel like this is a platform not only to share my journey and inspire others, but also like almost as a therapy for myself. So what I was wondering is, do you feel like coaching has helped you work through what you said, like issues?
Yeah.
Yeah.
when you I'm sure you can relate to this, but like when you share your shit and someone is like, oh, thank you, I needed to hear that, or thank you for being so real, or oh wow, I thought I was the only one, like all that feedback you get, it kind of is like that reaffirmation of like, well, sweet, I'm not crazy, you know, like so like I depend on the push that I get with this like this mission that I'm on to help people. Like I have this pressure behind me that drives me, that's like it doesn't just help other people. Like look at you, you know, trying to improve who you are on a day-to-day basis. Like if you give that up, maybe you would give up some of the pressure that you feel to keep working on yourself. So um I mean, I have come to depend on the community and the support. And I feel like it's actually one of the biggest values that the opportunity gives us, you know?
I think, yeah, I think that's so true. I think we get so afraid of that pressure. And sometimes, especially after we've been in this for a few years and you get to that point, we've all been there with like wanting to quit. I've been there too, where you're sitting there and you're like, man, I don't think I can deal with the pressure anymore. I don't want the responsibility. I don't want to post today. I don't want to do my power hour. I don't want to invite. But then it's like sometimes, and someone else, I forgot who said this, maybe it was Davies, I don't remember, but someone was like, well, what would you go back to? You know, like what would you go back to if before this? If you didn't have this, what would you go back to? And it's like, God, my life before, like you make it so bad what coaching is and that responsibility sometimes, but then we forget how bad it used to be when we didn't have that pressure, you know?
So,
Yeah.
oh yeah. Like I had one of my coaches a couple weeks ago, she was saying that to me, and I just go, like, I hear you and I totally can relate to you, but so you have two options. Like you can quit and I won't judge you. Like that's totally, you're the only one that can decide. But if you quit, like, you know, where are you going to feel that passion that you felt when, you know, the reason you stopped, you know, like the reason why you've been here for a year.
Yeah, totally.
She was like, well, that's true, I'm not quitting.
They always say that. No, the good ones.
Yeah.
Um, all right, Julie, I can't tell you enough. Like, oh my gosh, I'm just so full and I'm not even BSing. Like this call, I needed this too. Thank you so much for your time. You're amazing. I bow to you. Thank you so much.
Whatever. Thank you so much. And congratulations on all your exciting stuff lately. Missouri's going to be so lucky to have you.
We'll see. We'll see. I'm still up in the air. I'm like having, yeah, that's a big move, but we'll see. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, girl.
Yeah.
Well,
I was so nervous, but I'm so glad that they
you
came
did
on. And I hope it
awesome.
was worth whoever joined or watches or whatever.
No, you did awesome. Thank you so much. All right, guys, thanks so much for hopping on with
Yeah.
us. We're stoked to, yeah, be able to do this for you guys and hope you guys have a good night. And thanks for spending time with us. We'll see you later.